Stri zatse Demientieff deget an elan. Getringet chag hat an, kai hachach the do. 2007 santach valgats ye hadidil, tanana yakin san kai hatan. San kai deloy ched hoko. San toch tritl didlang hoi dil an. Hoi toch il tse han hani. Daisy hoi toch neg norit.
Daisy Stri Demientieff is a Daguetan elder, and this is a story about how she gathers material for birch bark baskets and split willow baskets. Her knowledge is based upon ancient Athabascan science and knowledge of the environment. This is a journey that took place in June and July of 2007 on the Tanana and Yukon rivers. Gathering of traditional materials for indigenous art forms is frequently ignored by scholars and art historians. It is often time-consuming, arduous, and takes great skill and detailed knowledge of the environment as well as flora and fauna. These skills take years to develop as basket makers learn from the elders and their families how to gather materials, when to gather and prepare materials, and how to create functional material items. Athabascan people in Alaska have used materials found in their boreal forest and river environment, such as birch bark and the roots of willow trees, to make beautiful baskets. Materials can only be gathered on the Yukon River in Alaska during the short summer months. These often involve hundreds of miles of travel on the Tanana and Yukon rivers and can be dangerous, depending upon the weather, sandbars, floating trees and logs, as well as bears. This is the story of how Daisy Stri Demientieff, Daguetan Athabascan, gathers her birch bark and willow roots, prepares them, and creates artwork.
All the stuff I do with my baskets, I do not take credit for it myself, but I give the credit to my ancestors who used these baskets for containers. In the old days, in the many, many ancient days, birch bark was available in our area and roots, and they needed containers, so they made baskets out of the birch bark and the roots, and they made some baskets out of willow roots completely. And I'm just very happy that they passed this down to me. My mother did from my grandmother, and when I make baskets, I think of them and the wonderful work that they had done.
Travel begins in late May and early June. Daisy travels from Anchorage via the Parks Highway to Nenana, which is 300 miles north of Anchorage.
How many times have you driven this road?
At least 100 times, I guess. We used to go to Fairbanks every fall for the fiddlers, you know. Well, we have a trailer in Nenana, then we go down the river, and sometimes we go for hunting. Mm-hmm. So that was 3-4 times a year. We're going in the boat. That's a negligence. It's so nice. We'll be traveling 750 miles on the river, with stops here and there to make tea on the bank.
And who's our captain?
Our captain is Mike Demientieff Jr.
And how many times have you sailed on this river?
About 10 times, huh?
Yep, up and down.
Bumping the sandbars now and then.
Get the train tracks. Love
it. River travel in Alaska requires detailed knowledge of the river systems, weather, and location of changing sandbars, driftwood, and avoidance of bears. The journey from Nenana to the Demientieff family fish camp is over 750 miles on the Tanana and Yukon rivers. As Daisy travels with her son, they stop along the Tanana River to gather birch bark.
What is the Decaton word for the birch?
Ich. Birch is ich. I'm picking these little things off it with a branch, okay? Okay. This is kind of a small birch, but it'll be very good for a small little nesting set of 3 baskets. If it peels right, it might be a little bit early, but if it peels right, it's very, very good. I can probably get 2 nesting set of 3 out of this, because this is enough for the big one. See the big basket. Then the medium size, 2 little ones, one here and one here. Another big one will be here, and the medium. I might be able to get 2 whole sets. I'm very lucky. Before we had this kind of string, we cut the bark off the willows. It makes wonderful string. They call that goshtim. That was the native string. Use them to tie this kind with.
So you let this sit until September, and then what do you do?
Then you can start your basket with it, and you can use a little heat in order to bend it, because it won't bend. Some of them are they'll be brittle. You can't make a bended basket with the brittle ones. You have to use the cut end basket. But sometimes the brittle ones make a stronger basket, thick, you know. You get done with it, it's like a wooden dish. Very nice. Very strong. And then the ones that are bending, you can make a nesting set of 3, which is very beautiful, and nobody makes it anymore but me.
And you learned that from your mother?
I learned that from my mother, who learned it also from her grandmother. Her mother didn't make baskets as much. I think she didn't feel too good to, but grandma, great-grandma, taught her how to make baskets, and she passed it on to me.
So before pots and pans, how did they use the birch bark?
Before they had any pots and pans, they could use that birch bark to make a deep basket, set it beside the campfire, kind of close, but not too close, that it'd catch a fire, but it still gets a lot of heat. And then they heat the rocks so that they're very, very hot. You can put little sticks at the bottom of the basket so that your hot rocks won't cook a hole in it. Set these little sticks crossways and put your rocks in it. Pretty soon you notice the water's boiling, and then you put your chunks of fish in it with some greens from the woods, and they boil, and you have your fish soup. It's very good.
Going down the Tanana River, there's sandbars all over, and you got to learn how to read the water to know how to stay off of them. We've hit a couple because of the channel changes almost weekly here. It's really tricky. You got to stay with the boils of the water, and just to stay in deep water, and otherwise the sandbars you get stuck on them and you end up pushing your boat off. And some people have to unload their boat, push their boat out, and then get their load back, again load it up again. And this Tanana River is the hardest one to go down. Most people don't travel down the Tanana, but we've gotten used to it and how to read the water to stay off the sandbars.
Throughout the journey, Daisy stops and visits her friends at various Athabascan villages on the Yukon River.
Angie was talking to Roy and he was in Fairbanks. Told him, Daisy's coming down. Oh, I better get home. They might stop and see me. So yeah, that's fun. And he used to do dog racing.
Oh, my boy
He
does.
still, and his sons do. They race dogs. That's why we saw all these dogs down here. We are about 20 miles below Tanana, right?
Yeah.
And this is Roy Folger. He was a relative of my husband Mike's, and Roy is a very good mandolin player. He loves music so much he'll play day after day, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he has a beautiful fish camp here.
It's a beautiful setup. And you said you started building this in 1969?
Yeah, and I finished it too. I was still working then. I just work on weekends and now and then. It took about 2 or 3 years to build this.
And your solar panel, what is your solar panel for? For your electricity?
Yeah, I got batteries stored down there and
Wow.
another wind charger and solar panel. Yeah, I raised all my kids here, 9 kids and a couple of boarding home students.
Yeah. We used to come by, and when my husband Mike was alive, we stopped to see Roy, and him and Roy would start playing music right away. And pretty soon Roy would turn to me and said, "Why don't you fry up the fish for supper while we play music?" And so I did. I would cook supper while they play, and we always had a wonderful visit.
Traveling on the Yukon River takes experience and skill. There are many hazards such as driftwood, bad weather, and encounters with many wild animals such as bears and moose. Each night, the small party traveling with Daisy camps out on the banks of the Yukon River.
For thousands of years we travel in small banks along the mountain and stop whenever we get hungry, make a nice little campfire. And we have a wonderful wind now from the east, huh? That's keeping the mosquitoes away, so we don't have no mosquitoes. We took care of our food problem. We had some good salmon strips to roast over the fire, and now we're ready to go down the river again. And they want to make it all the way to Grayling, but I told them no, we might see roots on the way and we'll stop and pick roots. Talk to me. Is that your co-pilot?
And who's our wonderful driver?
Marianne.
And the beautiful daughter is Maureen.
I'm Maureen.
And who's the adorable son? What's your name?
Matthew.
McCarty.
Yeah.
And who's that, your friend?
Huh?
Who's this, your friend?
Sunshine.
We came out of the Tanana, we got onto the Yukon. Oh, there was so much driftwood, you couldn't believe it. We were just shocked because there wasn't too much on the Tanana. Are you home, Florence? Here I am.
Oh, my house is topsy-turvy.
Go on, you.
I've been cleaning since I got home.
Your house is wonderful.
No,
You should see the boat.
Gee, welcome to Ruby. God, thank you.
Good
You have
to
to
see.
excuse me, I'm sweating and
Yeah.
dirty and...
That's how I was a minute ago, but now.
I keep them working.
Now she got you busy?
Oh, all the time.
That's good.
Cracking that whip.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That's my mother,
Oh, what was her name?
Martha.
Okay,
This
well,
is
the
one that
baby,
adopted.
And who's this photograph?
Pardon?
The older photograph down there?
This is my family.
is there
This one
The
here.
Smolkas?
Yes, this is my mother and my father. They both passed on. The only one that's living is Eddie,
Fried then?
myself,
Yeah, because I got 4
my brother
pieces here,
Berkman,
6 pieces on
and that's it. The rest of them are
Thank you.
all passed away.
Okay, bye.
Ginger, the Smolka's daughter? She runs the local store, and she is riding shotgun. And you were going to tell us a story.
Oh, there's a big grizzly bear at the road, and I took a ride, and I have a smaller gun, but if there's a grizzly around, I don't want to
Take a chance.
take a chance.
Are there lots of grizzlies around here?
There are up at the Malosi River. I only saw a couple black bears up there this year.
We're waiting for by the gas station.
Okay.
What a beautiful village you live in.
Yeah, it is nice. It's nice in the winter. It's pretty in the winter time, but it's
How cold does it get?
cold. It's one of the colder spots.
Can you get down to how many below?
I know. I think the coldest recorded was 70 right down on the river.
I wouldn't doubt it. Because I was going to say that.
It's here in
know
Canada.
70 is
It's hot. My window broke.
Uh-oh.
But that's the only one that rolls down.
Oh yeah. We're still on the Yukon River. We left Ruby, which is the only town on the south side of the river. Not a town, but a village on the south side of the river. It was very nice there. We had wonderful friends. We stopped and they fixed us some food to go so that we can eat it by the campfire tonight. And we're leaving for Galena, which was about 60 miles away by the river, 50 miles by air maybe. And the weather is nice, the river is not rough, and we're happy. Margie, she was down there when we went to Demientieff.
Oh, what's your last name, Margie?
Atla. He just came back and he's trying to put it back in there. It's got two little locks in there. That's my husband, Bob Atla.
Oh, shush.
Hi, puppy.
I was just thinking of you one day. I said, gee, I was telling my girls, I wonder if she'll come down, I tell them.
Yeah.
She might, you don't know.
You never know, but I don't know. They like to rush us women.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that song I sang, Don't Tell Me What to Do?
Yeah. Remember that.
We stopped and we spent the night at Roy's Folger's place.
He was there?
Yeah.
Oh,
he was good to us.
Oh,
He gave us tents to sleep in.
oh, that's good.
He said, "That song, Daisy's song." And I said, "Yeah, which one?" He said, "Don't tell me what to do." He laughed.
You're not going to be in training for that Naga, huh?
No, I'm missing it.
Oh, yeah.
Going fish camp instead. Maria's coming down with me, and
Oh, yeah.
she's taking pictures along the way. And I got some birch bark. She took pictures. And then if we see roots, I'll stop and get roots.
They asked me if I want to go. I said, no.
Oh.
I was just up there about 10 days ago.
You never even get gray, too. You must be really young.
Not that young. No more.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
your hair is still good.
Everybody asked me, you dye your hair? I said, heck no, not me. They get me mad.
That's the village of Kaikook by that big mountain. I knew it was around here, but kind of a little mixed up because we're way out on the river.
Oh, we hit a little driftwood there and with the prop and bent the prop a little bit, and we're not getting full speed out of it, so we're going to go to the shore here and raise the motor, get the back end into the shore so I can straighten that prop out, and then see if we get full speed again. There's a lot of driftwood this year, and trying to avoid them all is pretty much impossible, so this is pretty much what we'll be doing 2 or 3 times on our way down to Holy Cross. We've only got about 10-12 hours yet to go. Need something to put behind the back of the prop.
$15 a piece, so we try to take care of the props the best we could. If you run out of props, you're in a bad situation.
Not quite as high, so we shouldn't have to worry about the drift up there.
Yeah, no, we just came down, got out of there yesterday, and there's not much driftwood at all.
Oh, good. Well, you guys have a safe trip down.
How much gas have you bought for the whole trip?
Oh, geez, how much gas so far? We're probably close to about $1,000 in gas already, and we haven't even turned around and going back up the river yet. We still got another 150, 200 miles to go, and we'll have to buy more gas when we get down towards Grayling, when we get to Grayling.
And this powder milk is $5.20.
Okay.
That's the only. Right now we don't have any. Right now, they usually.
Bottled water's $9.20. $9.20.
$14.80.
$15.80. $14.80.
Hi, Josephine. Hi. I'm Daisy Demientieff.
Daisy?
Uh-huh.
Goodness, Mom. Oh.
That's Merlin's daughter.
Oh, that's Merlin, your late friend's daughter.
Oh, Merlin's girl.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Jeez.
So good to see you and to meet you.
Yeah.
Merlin and I were friends since we were little.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We camp in her house down here one time, the fish camp, you know. And Julian's with us. And he said, well, we better put a little money for staying in his house. So he put $3 behind the cup. How long ago?
How long ago?
Uh-huh. You know, their fish camp house was nice. Nice place. Marilyn brought it. Gave us 2 grayling. And we're just hungry for it. Yeah. How many sisters you have left here?
I have 4.
Oh.
Yeah. They're all here. My older sister was living in Verbeek all this time. She was dental assistant, but then she moved home a couple of years ago.
Oh. And where's your dad?
He's here.
He's here?
Yeah. He's in Verbeek. He went to a doctor appointment.
Oh, okay. This is my friend Maria.
Hello.
We're traveling down the river with her.
Oh.
This is my dear friend's daughter.
What's your name?
Josephine Ismalka.
We just left Caltag and we ran into some south wind. Yukon is getting pretty rough and we've been having to travel real slow now. Hopefully we're a couple of bends here, we might get into some better water where we're not pounding the boat so hard in the waves. This last stretch we should have been at fish camp by about 9 or 10 tonight, but right now it's looking like about 2 or 3 in the morning because of we have to travel a lot slower, the waves.
We're now going into Grayling. That's about, let's see, 80 miles from Holy Cross, or 100 miles from our camp then, because our camp is 20 miles below Holy Cross. We're going to try to get some gas and see some people we know, and then we'll keep it going. Hopefully we'll sleep in a real bed tonight.
Who was your husband and when did you meet?
My husband was Joe Demientieff, and we met in 1949, I believe, and then got married in 1950.
And how many children did you have?
We had 12 children. Yeah. Yeah.
Tell her you met him.
One was adopted, but I don't know. I don't believe in that. There's such a thing as adoption. I think they're just.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be, and it's the same as the rest.
So when you met your husband, did you meet him at the Holy Cross Mission, or?
Yes.
Was he a student there as well? Was he the same age as you?
He was much older, and I think that's what I needed.
Who were his parents?
His parents was Francis Demientieff and Iluska. And
so he was a brother to Mike Demientieff?
He was a brother to Mike Demientieff, yeah, the older brother.
So that's how you and Daisy are sister-in-laws then?
Okay. Yeah.
Gathering of willow roots takes expert knowledge. Daisy and her son travel via boat near their fish camp to try and locate good roots. She spends many days trying to find good roots. The time, effort, and skill involved to produce a split willow tray is a longer and more intensive process than that of a birch basket.
See, it bends like this and that breaks, that means it's dried up. Good. Here, see if this is any. Oh, here's a good one. Here's a pretty good one. I got it. This one. It's soft. See? That one was no good. This one looks like it's good, but that means it's no good. We'll check down this way a little bit further. I'm looking for roots, and you see all these willows, you'd think there'd be some nice digging roots, and that's what I'm looking for. Pretty deep, looks like. And dingy little roots. When the water's coming in and the willows, the roots have to go really deep, so they dug themselves deep in here. And they'll travel for long ways. Those are beautiful roots. Really easy to get to, but it has to be on certain kind of sandbar. This is not quite the place, but let's check back further over here. You'll see the roots hanging down just below the sand, ready to be picked, but this time we're having a hard time finding good roots.
And when you find good roots, how do you feel?
When you find good roots, you get so happy, like we found some gold, and they're just soft if they're the underground ones like this. Pliable and soft, and they're just light brown. And you know they're good roots. But they're long, and they're just a little bit bigger than this. This one's so small it's good for tying root only. See, these ones are short. You get some long ones, nice long ones. But if you can't find them, you have to make do with the short ones. But I'm still hoping that one of these times we'll find the most beautiful, long, nice roots that are soft and pliable. Look like they're good ones.
Get that axe right down there.
I'm trying to do it gently so the mud wouldn't fall on us, might cave on us.
Oh, yeah.
Gathering willow roots from a high bank by boat on the Yukon River is dangerous. Daisy must work quickly, be careful to maintain her balance while the river rocks the boat, and make sure not to pull on the roots which could cause the bank to cave into the river and potentially capsize the boat. Mike Jr. must work to maneuver the boat close enough to access the dangling roots and keep the boat steady enough so Daisy can harvest the roots she needs for her baskets.
Push it down there. Some nice roots, pretty good.
There's room up there, I think.
Yeah. When we get home, we'll grade them and see which ones are good, what pile they should be in.
You're not going to walk right on there.
Where's the knife? Oh my God, how can we get it?
Pull it.
No way, I don't want to pull the bank down on me. How about this one right here? Eesh. No good. Come away from there, it's too dangerous. Good enough. This. This. There, that looks pretty good, huh?
Once the willow roots have been gathered, Daisy must prepare the roots by grading them.
First I want to grade all of these and see which ones are worth saving. See if this one is... If it bends, It's breaking, you see? So right there, this is a dried up root that's no good. Nari means that don't bother with a root that's that bad. You can't make something nice out of ugly root.
So what's the word just for root?
Hoich is roots. It's hard to spell that too. And then these little small ones, they're good for tying the top on your basket, because as it you do it on there, it tightens and it keeps it in place. You can try, I've tried crochet thread. It doesn't work at all. It has to be real roots. This one, it looks like it's too dried up. So after you get your roots, you think you have quite a few, but when you come home and start to grade them, you find out that some of them were already dried up. You throw them in the garbage right there, the burning. Because once they're dried like that, you can't get the bark off them. They become garbage. They were floating down the river anyway. See, this one is... And there'll be a few nice ones that I will then bury and split later. When my mother used to get roots, she used to sit down by the willow. It would be the right size of willow on a sandbar, because sand is easy to dig in. The sandbar that she went to dig at would be sparsely populated with willows that were not too big, and she would dig at the bottom of one and find a nice root about maybe 6 inches under the sand. She would pull the end of it out up and start pulling it up. And the kids, the young kids who would go with her, would pull the root up. And sometimes they would pull, go along. The root might be 20 feet traveling under the sand, about maybe 6 inches deep. And those roots are the absolute best. So my trench is not, I'm not going to make too long of a trench. Like making a trench for 10 feet is unnecessary, because you don't need roots that long anyway. When you're pulling them through the basket, they're coming through a tight hole in the birch bark, and if you do it too long, they do get frayed and ruined. So the shorter your roots are, not too short, because if they're too short, then you have to keep splicing. I don't know why I'm trying to split this one, but I feel like doing it. If you don't split it now, in the winter time you'd have to soak this for 2 days in order to split it, because in order for the water to get all the way through. Ooh, hard. There was a big knot, I could hear it. But it's coming. Doing good. You can split this in 4 or 6 pieces, but I just want to do it in 2. I want to have a wonderful birch bark basket with this fat root around it. And if you don't put the pressure right down here, it'll break off to the side.
Once the roots have been graded, Daisy buries the roots in trenches to cure for up to 1 month.
I put a stick on it to keep the grass down. I'll throw the stick aside. And some of the grass have died here. But you see underneath the roots are still good. They're dark, and now I'll put some water on them to clean them up before bringing them in the house and splitting them. That's how we keep them from drying out, by putting grass on it, and the grass keeps them damp. Because sometimes the grass molds, but we make sure they stay moist all the time. And I'll rinse it out with this a little bit. Okay, and that's my willow roots that I use for my baskets. These are another pile of my roots that are not quite as old as the other one. They're probably about a week old, and I had them hidden under another pile of grass so they could keep moist. And I wanted you to see these. These are a little fresher, so they're lighter brown. The ones that are older are kind of dark. And so here they are. My willow roots that I couldn't do without. These are my roots that are hanging to dry after I had split them. I put them on this rack up here and dry them, get them all dried before I pack them in the box to ship to Anchorage or bring it in with me. And these are the willow roots, and that's how they look, nice and white, and they're very pretty. And this I would have liked to share with you.
In late July, after spending another summer at the Demientieff family fish camp, Daisy and Mike Jr. make the 750-mile journey to return to Anchorage, where they live.
See you later, Patrick.
Teaching is very important, and traditional arts are often passed down from one generation to the next.
Once you've finished,
Daisy learned from her mother, Belle Deacon, who was a nationally recognized artist and tradition bearer. Belle Deacon won a 1992 National Heritage Fellowship Award. Daisy traveled with her mother to Washington, D.C. for the award ceremony. Here she is being interviewed by Charles Carrault.
Ms. Demientieff, who taught your mother? How did she learn?
My mother learned from her grandmother, and she sat by her grandmother's side when she was a young girl, while all the other young girls went out to play. My mother loved her grandmother so much that she sat with her, and she learned this craft, and she also learned the old stories, the Athabascan stories that were passed down from generation to generation. And my grandmother told her, that's why you will live long, because you have to pass these on.
So her mother taught her, she taught you.
She taught me, and I'm trying to help my children to learn, and my granddaughter. They're a little bit slow at first, like I was, too.
They are very nice, and we thank you both for coming all the way from Grayling to show your beautiful work to us.
She said that she is very great.
Thank you.
My mother told me when she was teaching me, if any of my grandchildren or wants to learn, you must teach them, and you have to be patient with them and teach them. So the one that wants to learn can come to me, and I will honor my mother's request and teach them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important.
Yeah, it might not be a really fast process, but boy, she's going to learn in time. And very few people are really interested in learning, but Shelley is, so we have great hopes that one of these days she'll be making wonderful baskets, and I'll be very proud of her. And her grandmother would be happy from heaven that I'm taking care of my obligation.
This is my hole right here, but then I'm all the way.
You can make it right at the very end if you want.
Right here at the.
There.
Yes, I will be very proud to have a basket in with Auntie and Grandma.
And this is my daughter Judy, who has been making baskets for quite a while. And some of the baskets that she has made have been very, very pretty. She knows how to make baskets, and she's very happy to have Shelley with her to enjoy the basket making. That we just love making baskets. And like my mother was surprised about some of the work that I did, she was pleased with it. And I was happy with the baskets that Judy made. I thought, hey, that's kind of nice. So
unique,
yeah,
very
different,
pretty.
A little different.
This basket is bent edges, folded basket, and it can hold water, and so I don't have to do the side trim, which is kind of nice for me. I like doing this style because it's a little bit easier than doing the cut edges. Each birch bark has its own design, and so we like to use even the rough edges to make it look unique, and that's how it would look on the outside of the tree.
On this last one, I should just go ahead and put right here.
And so I'm just ready to start the top, which will be the fancy finish.
This is my favorite datse, and this is the poker that Mike made for me, and I use it all the time.
Just keeping my stick a little wet.
And you're ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, this is the start of the round that I'm going to do on my tray. It'll come all the way around like this, and every round is cut off and finished off so that you don't go round and round and round. Each round is separate. So when you do this, your tray is more work, but it's nicer. So I'll put this aside and I'll help Shelley.
Set it here?
No, I can put it right here, I guess.
Tell me if you need me to do anything.
Yeah. Here's your starting.
Should I soak that?
No.
Okay.
It's soaked already.
Okay.
take my bracelet off.
So you're
'cause I'm
watching?
not used to wearing that.
You start and you come in with your root like this. You don't want to see no about like so. And then right above it, you make another hole which will be about, just a little bit above.
Okay.
Poke that through. You're going to have strong hands, but your hands will strengthen in time from working at baskets.
Okay.
And you will love it when you have nice, strong hands. These trays sometimes, well, I've been working on this at least 2 years already. So this kind of tray does not go fast. It takes a long time to make this one. And
How many trays have you made?
in my lifetime, I have only made 7 trays. And I have a picture of them in order, in the order that I made them. And of course, I'm very proud of my trays. And when I get one done, I don't want to sell it. It's like a part of my family that I've worked on for so long. But if I have another one started and quite a ways long, then I can sell that tray. I don't feel so bad. But I don't just whip out a tray in a week, It takes me a long time, and so that way, maybe I become attached to it.
And what about the designs and the colors? Were those from your mother? Or
The designs are kind of from my mother. I try to copy her work, but I never can quite get it as my mother was a wonderful basket maker, and her trays were so beautiful and so perfect that I keep trying to copy her, which I don't get it quite right, but I have a little bit of my own comes up in the tray making, my own designs. And my mom was pleased with the work that I did. She said, that was nice,
So Judy, how did you get interested and when did you start?
Oh, I saw them doing it, and it just interested me because they were so beautiful. I would see Mom and Grandma's work and watch them, and wishing that I could maybe learn how to do it. But I didn't really start doing it till until my youngest child was about 5. And then I think that's when I really started, which was probably, 30 years ago?
30 years ago, maybe. Well,
or no, 23.
Yeah. Maybe 23 years ago, and the only way she could get roots was to come over to my sewing room and get roots. And I thought, no, she can't be taking my roots all the time. So one time she came over to the fish camp to help us, and she went and got roots. We helped her and showed her how. And she was so happy with the roots that she got. She was stingy for them, kept them to herself, and she even learned how to split them.
How long does it take you to finish a basket that size?
A basket like this could take me about 3 days maybe to finish it if I work on it hard every day.
If you counted the time in terms of gathering the material, preparing the material, and making the basket, how long would it take for you to do that basket?
Probably you would say 1 day of traveling and 1 day of going into the woods for the birch bark and getting the birch bark, then another day of gathering the roots, and maybe 2 days in preparing the roots and splitting them and carving them down to size. So maybe it'll be 10 days of work to make a basket. And then you sell that basket for $300, So actually you're not making a whole lot of money or getting rich, but it's something that makes us feel good when we do it. So it's carrying on our tradition. So even if we don't get rich doing it, we love doing it. It just it's our favorite thing. So this basket is going to be something like this, but it'll have some blue in it too, you see. But not too many people are making these baskets anymore, because they can get a regular paycheck doing the computer or whatever, you know. In the basket you make, you might not sell it for months, or you might, you know, take it somewhere and have a sale for it. But it's carrying on my tradition, and that's why I like doing it. I love doing it. We thank you for watching us make our baskets, an art that we think is worth passing down through the generations, and we're very pleased that we got to do it. A lot of people know how to make baskets, but we're very lucky that you're filming us. We thank our wonderful ancestors who taught us this basket making, and we want to give the credit to them. A lot of times when I'm making a basket, I think of my mother who taught me, and I always try to do as nice as she did. But I haven't really gotten there yet. I have some different ideas than she had, but the stitches that she made are so neat and so fine that it's good that she did that way, because that way I have something to strive for.
Museums have collected Athabascan artwork, including birch bark baskets and split willow trays. Dr. Susie Jones, Deputy Director of the Anchorage Museum of History and Art, discusses the work created by Daisy and her mother, Belle Deacon.
A wonderful material culture tradition from the Athabascan Indians in a certain region of Alaska, and the work by Daisy Demientieff and her mother, Belle Deacon, is some of the finest work and represents truly stellar basketry work from Alaska. And there is a lot of birch bark basket making done, but there is a very small amount of very high quality work being done, and I think that Daisy and Belle have represented the highest. Well, I think the finishing of the bark and the trimming of it, it's absolutely smooth and beautiful, and the borders and the roots, there just aren't rough edges on any of these, and the colors and the design work. And one of the wonderful things about birch bark baskets is they're beautiful both on the inside and very different on the outside. The construction of these reveals a knowledge of the proper time to gather the materials, the proper way to prepare them, the care for the roots, the beautiful light root that goes around here holding it together, and the kinds of stitching that's done. These are baskets that will hold things. They don't have cracks and splits in them like you might see in some of the more hastily made work these days. And again, the traditional design patterns found on these. This larger basket, I believe, if I'm remembering right, is a blueberry basket. And again, the functional use for these materials, I think, ties them very strongly to a way of life as well. They'll say, well, how many hours did it take you to make that, when they're talking to a craftsman? And if you actually calculated in the time spent in acquiring the knowledge and in acquiring the materials, a lot of that is a very unseen part of it that does play a big role in making these pieces as beautiful and as high quality as they are, and as a way of continuing a way of life and a tradition that represents a cultural art form. There are so many distractions for young people today, and so many other things they need to learn and need to know to get along in our contemporary society, that I'm afraid the kind of time and effort it takes to do this is less and less available now than it used to be. Although I think with the issue of quality, there have always been only a few people that really rise to the top. So in some ways that's not so different now than it's always been.
Daisy also visited with Walter Van Horn at the Anchorage Museum of History and Art to examine their collection of Athabascan baskets. Indigenous languages are tied to a worldview that is holistic in nature and incorporates the arts, environment, and culture. Today, Indigenous languages are endangered, as well as the art forms and subsistence lifestyle. There are only 50 speakers of Daguetan alive today.
Beth, introduce yourself.
Beth Leonard Itzlar, Daguetan Itzlar, Slegajitnon Nacion. My name is Beth Leonard. I grew up in Shagluk in Anvik. My parents are James and Jean Demientieff, and my grandparents on my father's side are Lena Phillips Demientieff and Charlie Demientieff.
You know, I grew up around the language, but it had been so many years since I really talked, because the Holy Cross Mission had took the language away from the people down there. So my husband didn't know how to speak. And that's why I'm kind of slow. Maybe I lost some of it, but I know some wonderful words. My mom was a fluent and wonderful speaker. In fact, this is the book that she told the stories in this book. The Indian is written on one side, and on one side is the English. But in telling the stories, which she had to switch to English, some of the parts are missing because it was hard for her to change from the Indian language to English, and she used to tell stories to us at home. And when she did, it wasn't as good in English as it was in Indian. But my brother was small and he didn't know Indian very well, so he used to tell her, "Mom, don't talk like that," which meant don't talk in Indian. Tell it in English. So she had to try to, so he'd be happy. He's 2 years younger than me, cowboy. And so I think some of it is like that in this book also. Some of the good meaning is kind of lost in her translation, you know. It was hard. But still, when I read these stories, I remember how she told it to us. So I get more out of the stories than some people who haven't heard Deg Hanag, or Deg, you know, they read that and they think, oh, it's foolishness, you know. It has to be a person who understands not only our language, but the way people believe are people. They have beliefs, you know. When we speak our language, we feel good. But when we speak our language, we have also fun about it. Mm-hmm. Because if we say it wrong, you know, we help each other and we laugh and we have fun. So it's a language that makes us happy. It just, when we talk it, it's just right. Of course, they used to call Daguetan Ingalic, which was not complimentary, and they don't use that term anymore.
Right.
Ingalic. Mm-hmm. We use Daguetan instead. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's different dialects, and even Shagluk, there's some of the words have changed. And we're just 4 villages that are close: Anvik, Grayling, Hulkachuk, and Shagluk, you know. Of course, now Holy Cross took the place of Hulkachuk.
When we used to talk with Alta Giroux from Anvik, mm-hmm. she said Shagluk people use Dogaden to say thank you, but Anvik people should say Hashrigadistan.
Yeah, and my mom will say, Giti vo Hashrigadistet. That means I'm very thankful for that. Vo Hashrigadistet means I'm glad.
Deg
Trachonai.
Nier Paresin Lochna.
Yeah.
Tra.
Okay.
Die ting også grastet.
Yeah. Niotra titichesteeds genaja. Dekava. You understood what I said? Your daughter, she speaks good language, our language. Beth knew.
Geti has ring Kayat Shakwa Dega. You're having nice weather.
Yeah, we're having nice weather. Yeah, nee. I know, I think as we get older too, we like to go back to our roots and pick up more of the language.
Eagle on the list do no need good time hold on no lie to good time hold on hold me I know it I know she does you see because it's so she does you see this name Eagle on the list do no need good time hold on no lie to good time hold on hold me I know it I know she does you see because it's so she does you see this name Eagle on the list do no need good time hold on no lie to good time hold on hold me I know it I know she does you see because it's so